Jack's promotion of Diane to co-CEO at Jabot caused mixed reactions within the company. On the one hand, Diane was a capable and experienced figure, and Jack believed she would be the right person to lead Jabot through its future challenges. On the other hand, this hurt Kyle, who had believed he would be given the opportunity to take control of the company with his father. Meanwhile, Tucker McCall, another powerful figure, also played a key role in pushing Jack to promote Diane to a high position at Jabot. The initial problems with Tucker put a lot of pressure on Jack, forcing him to make difficult decisions. Jack could see Diane's potential and believed she was the right choice for the future of the company, but he could not ignore the escalating internal conflicts between Diane and Kyle. Amid the tension between Diane and Kyle, Jack secretly worked with Audra to find a way to control the situation. Audra, a scheming and calculating character, can be an ally or an enemy, depending on her interests. Jack's decision to cooperate with Audra shows that he is desperately looking for a solution to protect his company and family from collapse due to internal conflicts. This cooperation can open up many new possibilities for the story, as Audra can help Jack discover Kyle's secrets or even use the information to manipulate the situation to her advantage. However, this can also lead to unforeseen consequences, pushing Jack into new conflicts with his own family and those closest to him. Life in the Abbott family has never been peaceful, but perhaps never as tense as it is now. Kyle Abbott, the only son of Jack Abbott and Diane Jenkins, is disrupting not only the relationship between his parents, but also pushing the family into a very unstable situation. Kyle's actions are not simply a reaction of a child to his parents, but are more calculated and plotted to achieve personal ambitions. The internal war in the Abbott family now goes beyond personal disagreements, to work in power at the Jabot Corporation, where Kyle and his mother, Diane, are facing off head-on. Jack and Diane have had a complicated emotional history, and Diane's recent return to Jack's life has ignited long-buried feelings. But instead of a sweet return, Diane's presence has led to constant arguments between the two. As time goes on, the situation becomes more and more tense, as Diane frequently fights with Jack and then leaves. From small family issues to important decisions at the company, the two are barely able to find common ground. The disagreements do not stop at the personal level. Diane was given an important position at Jabot by Jack, and this created a conflict between mother and son. Kyle believed that the position should have belonged to him, someone who had spent his life learning and contributing to the family company. Jack, in an effort to save his relationship with Diane and also to ensure that Diane could contribute to the development of Jabot, inadvertently pushed his family into a never-ending war. Kyle's resentment towards his mother had been long-standing, stemming from Diane abandoning him when he was a child. This created a deep wound in Kyle's heart, causing him to become stubborn and irritable in all interactions with Diane. When Diane returned, Kyle thought that perhaps this would be an opportunity for him to work with his father, to heal old wounds. However, when Jack gave Diane a management position at Jabot, Kyle felt betrayed and angry. Recently, Kyle has begun using deceptive tactics to undermine Diane. He stole the formula from her computer and used it at Glissade, a move designed to damage his mother's reputation at Jabot. Diane, after several attempts to keep her cool, finally decides she has no choice but to fire her own son. It is a risky move, but Diane believes that it will help prevent more serious damage in the future. Jack faces a difficult decision, choosing between son and wife. Jack, who loves both his son and his wife, now faces a difficult decision. He has spent years raising and grooming Kyle to take over the family business, and seeing his son act this way is a huge shock. However, Jack also realizes that Diane, despite her many flaws, is still his beloved wife and someone he trusts to contribute to the growth of Jabot. The storyline between Jack, Diane and Kyle at Jabot is not only a power struggle but also reflects the deep conflicts within the Abbott family. Kyle, with his own wounded past, has become a backstabber, sabotaging his mother's business. Subscribe to Yonder for updates. The Young and the Restless Wednesday, October 16 reveals that the family conflict between Jack Abbott, Diane Jenkins, and Kyle Abbott is getting more complicated, especially when Jack decides to conspire with Audra to find a way to control the situation. Although Jack is a loving and protective father to his son, Kyle's constant trouble-making in the Jabot business and putting pressure on Diane has made the situation tense. The tension between Jack and Diane, since Jack made Diane co-CEO of Jabot, the tension between them has escalated. Although Jack always tries to maintain a balance between managing the company and maintaining family happiness, Kyle's constant sabotage of Diane's work has created a big conflict between the couple. Diane is extremely angry at Kyle's disrespectful actions and unfair competition. What is particularly noteworthy is that Kyle did not stop at causing trouble but went further by stealing the secret formula from Diane's computer and using it at Glissade, an act that directly threatened her job. Diane felt betrayed and disappointed when Jack, who had always protected and helped Kyle, did not stand by her side in this situation. This further strained the relationship between Jack and Diane. Although Jack admitted that Kyle had done wrong, he still could not easily forgive his son's mistakes, partly because of his love, partly because of the hardships Kyle had gone through in his life. Ever since Diane returned from the dead and was promoted to a senior management position at Jabot by Jack, Kyle had always felt jealous and insecure. Although Kyle was the one who recommended his mother for that position, deep down, he always believed that this position belonged to him, not Diane. The lack of trust and feelings of abandonment from a young age created a gap between mother and daughter that was difficult to bridge. Diane, with her controversial past, always tried to make up for her past mistakes by working hard and trying to create a better future for Jabot, but this only made Kyle more jealous and distant. Kyle constantly tried to make things difficult for Diane at Jabot. He used sophisticated tricks to destroy Diane's image in the eyes of customers and employees, making her look suspicious in their eyes. Despite repeatedly warning Jack about Kyle's behavior, Diane still did not receive full support from her husband. Jack, with his fatherly instincts, still tried to protect Kyle, despite clear signs that his son was using unscrupulous tactics. The situation became so tense that Diane had no choice but to fire Kyle for his continued dishonesty and sabotage. It was a difficult decision, but for Diane, it was necessary to protect the company and maintain professionalism at Jabot. However, Diane's decision put her in a deep conflict with Jack. Jack could not accept the firing of his son, which caused him and Diane to grow apart. Jack always believed that Kyle should be supported and guided, not eliminated, and this caused him to have conflicts with his wife. Jack had taught Kyle about the business at Jabot since he was a child. Kyle had been Jack's pride, and he hoped that his son would become the rightful heir to the company. But things did not go as Jack expected. When Kyle took over the business, he encountered many difficulties, and this led Jack to hire Adam Newman to work with Kyle to help him learn from someone more experienced. One of the main factors that led to Kyle's betrayal was probably the relationship between him and Diane that had not been fully repaired. Diane's abandonment of Kyle when he was young left deep psychological scars. Although Kyle tried to move on from the past and welcome his mother back, he still couldn't shake the feeling of abandonment and betrayal. It was this feeling that drove him to become a backstabber, not only hurting his mother but also threatening his own job and life. Meanwhile, Jack seemed to have a clear understanding of the source of Kyle's negative behavior. Jack knew that Kyle's resentment and hatred towards Diane was not only about work but also due to unhealed wounds from the past. That was why Jack always tried to protect Kyle, despite his reprehensible behavior. Jack could see that Kyle was struggling with complicated emotions and he felt responsible for helping his son through this difficult period.